everyone, and welcome to the Week in Review from Wednesday Night Gentlemen. I am your host, Tactic Angel. On this program, we will be discussing the news that is affecting all of our favorite topics. Those are the topics that we usually talk about on the official Multimedia Empire podcast. Those are comic books, TV shows, movies, video games, comic books, TV shows, and TV shows, and politics. Sometimes politics, too. That's why we start the show with sad music. We're going to leave that for last, though. The worst for last. So don't worry. First thing up, we're going to be talking about video game news. In a way, this will be something of a correction. Really, it's more of an amendment to something that we had talked about on the podcast a few weeks ago. That was that Bethesda is releasing Skyrim Remastered for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. We had reported that basically Bethesda said, and this was accurate at the time, that there wasn't going to be mod support on the PS4. Well, this week they have reported that in fact there will be. And that mod support will look probably a little different than on other platforms. That caveat is basically that any mods that are going to be used on the PlayStation 4 must use existing assets in the game, which for a layman would mean that all of the textures and all of the sounds that are available in the game are the textures and the sounds that you can use for your mod, but you can't upload your own textures or your own sound files. Sony uses a proprietary sound format, so this is probably their way around it. There is a link to an article in the description for this story and all other stories. So, second up, PlayStation VR. The embargo for reviews lifted this week, and reviews are pouring in. Basically, all of them say the same thing, too. I've read 3 or 4. For the sake of this, for this news podcast, that's all of them. Basically, what they're all saying is that the experience that you're going to get with the PlayStation VR is maybe not to the same level that you're going to get if you buy an HTC Vive or the Facebook Oculus. That said, the price of the PlayStation VR is substantially lower than either one of these. I think on the low end, you'd be spending at least twice as much money to buy into these other VR techs, and that's not counting having a computer and a graphics card powerful enough to use it. Plus, like the HTC Vive requires a significant amount of space dedicated to actually operating this. So, what does it mean? Well, basically, this is kind of your Toyota Camry. It's a good-looking, dependable car, but if you have all the money in the world and all the space in the world and you want to go out and buy one of those Audis, do it. It's clearly not a budget title, not like buying an old Ford Probe, but, you know, I think that would be more the Google box that you could fold up and slide your phone into that's supposed to do some sort of VR nonsense. Whatever. I don't know anything about that. Forget that I said that. Moving on to comic books, there's actually a good amount of news going around this week. It was put out there earlier that shooting for the Punisher TV show has officially commenced. We don't know very much about it, other than that some of the characters from Daredevil are going to appear in it, and that's pretty much as you'd expect since they played a pretty big part in Frank Castle's journey through Season 2 of Daredevil. Rumor has it that this may delay Jessica Jones into 2018. I can't find anything that says that for sure, but the rumor mill is working out there. So we know that there are 2 other Netflix shows that are definitely supposed to release next year. The first we should probably talk about is Iron Fist. Iron Fist is a character that I'm going to say no one really cares about. I've never met anybody who read his books, but he's basically a guy who uses magic kung fu, and I don't know, he's got a dragon spirit. That's coming out next year. He's a street level guy, kind of like Jessica Jones and Luke Cage. I guess a little bit more magical than Daredevil, but I mean, he's a guy who can see who's blind, kind of. Not exactly. In any case, it's something to look forward to. It got an official release date. I think so far Netflix has been doing a pretty good job releasing these TV shows for superheroes. The release date for that is a solid March 17th, 2017. So mark your calendars. Stay tuned to Wednesday Night Gentlemen. I am sure we will have lots of things to say about it. The Defenders has already been announced as being part of their 2017 lineup. So The Defenders is something that they had announced when they first acquired Marvel TV shows as a thing that they were going to be doing. This is basically going to be like a team up between the 4 established Marvel characters. There's no word on whether the Punisher is officially going to be in that show or not. I hope he is. I hope he is. I think just John Bernthal knocked it out of the park with his interpretation of the Punisher. He's so tortured. He's so great. I don't know how he would work in a team dynamic. I'd like him floating around, but maybe not part of the team. That would be great. We will definitely keep you posted. This is something that both Midget Radio and I have a lot of interest in. We don't have a date for the Defenders, but the trailer did say 2017, so definitely 2017, right? We haven't seen 3 Marvel shows out of them in 1 year yet. I don't know if we're going to see some escalation in the number of shows we get. Personally, I would be okay with that. I don't know how many people are going to get burnt out on Marvel. It certainly hasn't seemed to happen at this point. In other news, and I'm going to just call this other news because it's nothing that has anything to do with any of the things that I say I'm going to talk about. These are just a couple of things that jumped out at me over the last couple of weeks. If you haven't been living under a rock, then surely you've heard about clowns. There are clowns everywhere, and what are they doing? They're standing, they're leering, they're trying to lure children into the woods with candy or something. I don't know what to say about this. All I want to say is that this is pretty crazy. No one can point to what is going on here. No one knows why it is bad. Granted, a couple of people have said that they were going to do stuff, but for the most part, that's not what was happening here. Some guy even got shot. What does it all mean? Speculate in the comments section all you want. I'd love to hear it. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. I think somebody just wanted to play a prank on somebody, and then some other people thought it was funny that people were freaking out and started doing it too. Maybe it's all part of some giant social experiment. How to manipulate the media and drive panic through people. Like, seriously, there's not enough here to be afraid. I know people who say they're going to shoot a clown if they come onto their property for no reason. I informed them that that would probably not be a good idea, of course. And I believe they see the wisdom in that. Another interesting thing, and we've talked a lot about space on this show so far, so I'm going to say this is close to being in our wheelhouse. Recently, Elon Musk, the guy who famously created the Tesla automobile company, has announced that he would like to send people to Mars. He has a fancy little CG video that shows a rocket blasting off and shooting this, spacecraft towards Mars, and then returning to Earth so it can be refueled and blasting more people off towards Mars. Cut to spacecraft floating towards CG Mars. It lands. What happens? No answers for any questions. I thought this was fascinating. I'm a big fan of anyone trying to explore space. I think you're always trying to make progress. We always have to explore. because as soon as you get comfortable with where you're at, you're basically saying, I'm okay with my grave being here. So let's not make Earth the graveyard of humanity. Let's get out there, right? Well, while we're talking about graveyards of humanity, Mr. Musk, that sounds weird. Mr. Musk said that people should be prepared to die if they want to take a trip to Mars. Apparently, there's a lot of things that they haven't worked out, like how are these people going to have water or food? Theoretically, he wants to make it so people can come back from Mars to Earth. And I think on the high end, he said that he wanted to send something like 1 million people there to create a permanent settlement. Naturally, he did not volunteer to do this. I kind of understand why. If you've been paying attention to the news around Elon Musk or any of his wonderful companies, SpaceX, which is the company that he uses to shuttle stuff into space through several federal contracts, recently lost a rocket. So it was like sitting around and it went boom! And then he also owns Tesla. And Tesla has been in the news because several of their cars have also gone boom! And if they don't go boom, some of them, they have like an autopilot thing and have driven themselves off of the road into solid objects, killing their occupants. Actually, take that back. It might have been occupant. Singular. Occupant? Whatever. I am personally super pumped about this whole proposal. Elon Musk is literally inventing new ways for people to experience death. Death in space, death on distant planets. What a great man. I don't get it. I don't get the whole cult of Musk. That also sounds weird. Probably the best thing that did come out of this is that, and this is weird, Boeing has basically challenged Musk in a race to Mars. They also included Bezos, the owner of Amazon, who's spending a whole bunch of money making a drone force to conquer America. I guess this is a better use of his time. I don't know. Who do you think's going to get there first? SpaceX, Boeing, or your Prime membership? Vote in the comments. And finally, I guess we have to talk about politics. Several things have happened in the last week. Donald Trump said some insensitive things about veterans, which is sort of weird because I know there's been a lot of news about his various fundraisers for veterans. He isn't doing super great in the polls. Lots of people, I don't think relative to the total size of the Republican Party, but lots of people in the Republican Party want Donald Trump to quit. He says he's not. And honestly, I don't know what the point of people coming forward and saying this is anymore. He's gotten this far saying whatever he wants. I don't think he's going to have a change of heart in the last 30 days. We'll see. We can always hope. We've also had several leaks come out against Hillary Clinton. I mean, geez, just leaks. Leaks. Every week, it's something else that she's done or said. This week it was, basically she said that if you were a Bernie Sanders person, you were probably a product of the recession and you were some basement-dwelling person who just didn't understand how the world works. That's fascinating. I don't know who's left other than dyed-in-the-wool, hyper-partisans. Who can possibly be a good person in her eyes? If you want to vote for Trump, then you're an Untermenschen. No, wait, that was somebody else. No, you're just deplorable. You're deplorable. If you wanted to vote for Sanders, you're some mouth-breathing Neanderthal. There were also some other leaks. They're all posted on WikiLeaks. I'm not linking you directly to WikiLeaks. I'm not sure what to think about that place. Some of these are a lot more substantive. I don't think they're the things that people care about. It's basically not a surprise. She's lied about everything. Basically, she doesn't think Keystone Energy Pipeline is a bad idea. She thought that the investigations into Benghazi were a joke, and if you watched that conference, I think you already knew that. It's into the mud. It's not what the elections are about these days. It's all about all these other little things that don't actually matter. This is great. I can't wait for either one of these people to be president. There was also a vice presidential debate. It was not exactly fascinating. I watched it. You can watch it too. It's basically two guys talking over each other. The basic consensus seems to be that Mike Pence, Donald Trump's running mate, comported himself pretty well and basically seemed like the more substantive, level-headed guy. I guess, depending on who you ask, Tim Kaine either didn't do very well or should have done a little bit less cocaine before he got on the stage. I don't think he agreed with anything and spent most of the time shouting at the top of his lungs. It wasn't great. It wasn't great. My opinion was that Kaine didn't do as bad as basically everyone thinks he did. He definitely lost, but he did not do well at all. So there you go. I probably just saved everyone several hours. Watch it if you want. It was pretty terrible. Remember, your choices are evil incarnate or Satan herself, so vote accordingly. I've left links to all of the articles referenced in this video below. That's been a quick rundown of this week in review. This has been Wednesday Night Gentlemen. We hope to see you next week when we have a brand new Multimedia Empire official podcast. We will be talking about Luke Cage, ? And also don't know yet. Probably a couple things, but definitely the end of Luke Cage. This is Tactic Angel signing off for Wednesday Night Gentlemen Week in Review.